While others missed the moment, these leaders saw the signal and made the bet. In this episode, Gary Hoberman, the CEO of Unqork, reveals the bold bet that redefined how businesses build applications. Welcome to This Way Forward with Charlie Newark-French. My guest today is Gary Hoberman. Gary is the CEO of Unqork. Unqork helps many of the largest organizations in the world build business applications. Gary, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting.
You know the format here. We're going to have a 10 to 15 minute discussion, all centered around a big strategic bet you made. And I'm sure that with the success you've had over the last few years, you've made a few strategic bets. And then I'll ask a few more questions. If you're up for it, let's dive into it.
Let's do it.
Cool. Start by framing the setting for us. What was the strategic bet you made, and did it pay off?
Yeah, so, and I always feel like an entrepreneur is probably the loneliest job and the one that is difficult, as you would know, Charlie, of course. And
absolutely.
It's, and at this point, I'm still 8 years later after creating the company, still feeling like I'm one of the few people seeing the problem in the world, which makes you think, are you crazy or you're like, but the problem itself that went after was code. It was something we are reading about every single day of how the latest AI models from the largest companies are all automating developers and automating the creation of code. And you're reading about banks getting 20% productivity by using some of these tools to assist. 8 years ago, I set out on a journey to replace code completely and replace the need for engineers to speak cryptic hieroglyphic languages that no one could understand and very few ever do well. Like that, we call them the 10 extras if you do it well, because you're 10 times the value. And that was the journey I set out 8 years ago. It actually started, if I go way back, 30 years back, I was right out of NYU business and I started on Wall Street, and they asked me to build this technology. They said, build a money transfer system using C++ and Sybase and all this great technology. And I did it in like a day. And I'm like, this is boring. If I do it well, they're going to ask me to do it again. So instead, let me create a code generator system. So I'll create a system which
creates yourself a little bit of work.
And in 6 months, every application in the whole private bank was automated by my system, 700 applications. And I felt great. I'm like, look, everything's fully automated, straight through processing, and it generated 700 apps distributed on CD-ROMs in 6 months, and I was 22. And I suddenly realized when the first wire transfer was sent out of the bank incorrectly with duplicate $14 million wire transfer, and I received the call and they said, hey, what happened? I realized that I had a bug. Who knew? I mean, I could make a mistake. And like, I thought I was like the best engineer, and here I was. And the mistake that I made had to be patched in 700 applications over and over. And I realized at age 22 that code should never be replicated.
A little sweat on your forehead at that moment?
Oh, there was a lot of sweat. And, I left that and they replaced me with 7 engineers. So one 22-year-old kid replaced with 7 senior engineers when I went to join Smith Barney and run mutual fund sales performance. And again, I loved it. And I climbed that corporate ladder to MD very young. Never, ever again was I building code generators. And this idea... The big problem, the strategic bet was simple: replication. All of software has been built wrong for the last 40 years. We build software with replication. We copy and paste over and over. The latest and greatest technology you could read about in TechCrunch and Wired today is replication. What's the problem with replication is I kind of feel like I'm in the movie The Matrix and you see all the ones and zeros around you. The problem with replication is it's a field day for the hackers. They can invest all their time and money breaking a single piece of...
Once they've cracked it once, they've got
it's a 3-year investment. It's an annuity that pays off for 3 years because that's how long it'll take to patch that last application and server. When you look at code, it runs in runtimes that have thousands of vulnerabilities, and the runtimes run in servers with thousands of vulnerabilities. And the truth is, there is no security. And so the strategic bet I made was eliminate replication, eliminate code, eliminate runtimes, eliminate the need to have engineers completely. And we started that battle, I would call the battle 8 years ago. And in our world, instead of a buy versus build, which is this like decision you make, do you want to buy a package or build? And they're both the same thing. They both result in crappy replication that's duct taped together. Instead of that, we talk about 100% reusability.
Yep.
So in our world, everything you build, every business application our clients builds, or every mainframe migrated to us and every Java app migrated to us, and there's 9 trillion of legacy technical debt sitting there to move to us.
Yep.
Every single bit of that moves to a world where it's reusing something that was built before you,
yep.
tested a minute before you tested it, security tested an hour ago by someone that
yep.
you didn't even know.
Yep.
And once you're in our world, together you're moving up as a community for the first time. Yep. Everyone benefits each other. What a concept.
Yeah. Okay, so 8 years ago, I remember the debates that were happening, and it was like low code is not possible, no code is definitely not possible.
Correct.
It seems 8 years later, some people are starting to catch up with your idea. Just before I ask you a couple of other questions here, what's the end state in your mind? That your 3 kids are engineers. They all code, I think, right?
Two codes.
Okay,
one's a fashion designer, and a fourth one we'll see soon. But they're all. I was sharing Charlie, like they're all entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Which is amazing. Code writing seems to be one of the #1 jobs that AI is actually taking. Like, there's a big talk about AI taking jobs. The ones that are being taken are things like content creation and actual coding.
Yes.
Where does this end in like 5, 10 years' time? What are you telling your kids to focus on?
So to me, like, understanding how to write code is understanding how to think system design and thinking. Yes. I believe in that. Even in Unqork, we are pure software engineers and engineering that encourage system architecture, system design, system thinking.
Yeah.
But at the same time, encourage a world where the business could actually contribute to the application instead of writing a requirements document that goes to IT.
Yeah.
We break apart that entire world. And so I always tell my kids, they're all trying to change the world in their own way.
Yes.
And my father was an entrepreneur. I watched him build a business, which helped me get access to technology when no one did. And, my sister's an entrepreneur, brother's an entrepreneur. It's not something in the blood. It's something you see as a role model.
Yes.
And they saw me take a risk. They saw me jump out of the C-suite where I was a global CIO.
Yep.
They saw me take the risk. They're all doing the same right now.
Yeah.
As far as coding goes, coding was wrong 30 years ago.
Yep.
So just so everyone knows, coding is speaking a language like Java or C or Python or R, or what do you name it.
Yep.
The machines don't understand the language.
Yep.
So the language was invented by humans to speak to each other,
Yes.
which meant only 19 million people in the world speak the language out of the 8 billion or so.
Yeah.
So what we did with Unqork was we democratized that and said, what if you could describe your need and focus on the what you want to do as opposed to how to do it, which is the way it works.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're in a world where you and I could sit down and read an application and understand it in English.
Yeah.
And it's no more, cryptic hieroglyphics that is dependent on someone, across the world to read it and understand it.
Yeah.
And so I do think understanding system design, system thinking is critical for us, and creativity for my kids.
I think that's exactly right. One way or another, we have to have critical thinking, and it's harder to imagine a better way to learn that. Okay, let's go back to 8 years ago. If I remember it rightly, you kind of skipped seed and pre-seed and just went straight to a big Series A, which is kind of remarkable. Maybe I'm remembering it slightly wrong, but it was a big. In those days, it was a big round.
In those days, so by the way, so first off, I was a global CIO managing $2 billion a year of spend.
You had a small resume behind you.
I was flown out on corporate jets to meet the top VC funds and hear the pitches from their portfolio companies in that seat, and go meet Sundar and go meet Steve Ballmer and Satya and the reality was I thought I saw a problem that no one saw, which is the way we build software is entirely wrong across every industry. Small, medium, large enterprise, just wrong, flat out wrong. It should be focused on reuse, not replication. And the problem with seeing it is everyone else was making tons of money because of the replication. Think about strategic integrators and how much money they're making on deploying.
Right, it's a coupon. They just get to keep clipping it.
Just keep clipping it, which is, it's horrible for a company. Like the CFO should be listening to the show going, wait.
No, the incentives are totally
The incentives are completely
misaligned.
It's legal, medical, and SIs. There are 3 fields in which the longer that they work, they bill you more, the worse you're off. Right? That's kind of where it is. Strategic integrators. For those who know SI, strategic integrator. And the incentives are all misaligned.
Yeah.
But when I started the company, I thought I was leaving that C-suite and be welcomed into this world to fix the problem.
Yes.
100% wrong.
So that's where I'm going to go. Who resisted it, and how did they resist it?
I got 300 no's from every investor who used to welcome me to hear their portfolio companies.
Yeah.
And there was a wall in my office called the quote wall.
Yeah.
Of a lot of the top Midas investors and what they said, without attributing who said what.
Yeah.
So to be clear, but I was told I was too old. I was 44. I was told not entrepreneurial enough. I had 7 patents to my name, like in Wall Street. My team was not entrepreneur. Like every single thing, and we plastered a wall with all the quotes.
Yeah.
And I wound up self-funding, which was like where. Self-funding to me meant sleeping on a couch for 2 years while using credit cards to pay expenses, credit card to credit card.
I never knew that. From the outside, it looked like it was like just an immediate success.
I will never forget walking to work thinking, am I going to be able to pay the bill today?
Yeah.
And I was 45, 44 at that time, I guess. And we focused on focus on revenue first.
Yeah.
Forget the funding. Screw the funding. Yeah. We basically discounted the investors as not understanding the problem.
Yeah.
And put them to the side, focus on the problem. The problem is replacing 19 million engineers and all the software out there, $9 trillion TAM.
Yep.
And we did. So we signed, our first customer was a Fortune 100 insurance company. We signed 5 Fortune 250 insurance companies in the first 6 months.
Yep.
We got revenue, and then we did a seed round, which was a big seed. It was about 50 million seed round. At that time, that was massive. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's a typical Series B almost at that time.
Yeah.
And then we did a Series A where Goldman led, and that was a couple $100 million. And then Series B was like $700 million with Alphabet Capital G. And then the Series C, just 3 years after we started, was BlackRock. And that was where we hit the $2 billion mark. It's 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We're never raising again. We are at that stage where when we did that raise, we said, we need to own our own destiny because we don't know what the world's going to be. And just
a lot of
focus on building a great company.
Yeah.
Focus on happy customers, good SAT, good NPS scores. Just focus on doing what's right to a business.
Yeah.
As opposed to the grow at all cost model that we saw at the time.
Okay, my last question for you, Gary, is were there any moments where you're like, actually, I got this wrong? I'm like throwing the towel in. Or any moments where someone said to you, this is not right, and you had a moment of doubt?
It's funny. So every client pitch that I do, and I still do the pitch, and if you're meeting with me, I'm going to do a live demo in 5 minutes, and I'll build whatever you dream of in 5 minutes in production.
Yep.
Be production ready system. It still energizes me to this day.
Yeah. I saw you do this at some conference in LA right before I don't know if you remember, but I was out there in the audience.
Oh yeah, watching. Montgomery's an amazing conference.
Exactly.
They actually came in our Series C. March Capital is amazing.
Okay, congratulations.
They are and so I love this idea that you have to show it's real. Yeah. It's not magic. I could build, in minutes what would take years, and we could do it, and but the energy I get from the customer pitches, it also masks as well what's going on out there. Is I never understood the incentive structures for partners and customers who we work with. Meaning, if you tell a banking CIO, here's what Unqork could do, when they say, what will my 10,000 engineers do tomorrow? What they were really saying was, my bonus will go down if I deploy Unqork because I'll only need 1,000 engineers and I'm being compensated based on 10,000 today. Yep. And so, understanding and with partners, Charlie, that's probably the biggest thing I didn't understand, which is the incentive structures and comp structures in partners to help you grow your business, which helps them, it is totally misaligned.
Yeah. You had a whole load of misaligned incentives across
100%.
Across the board.
And I think what I didn't understand was I never sat down and thought about those anywhere. I was too busy selling. I was too busy excited about the direction. And I think having probably someone in your company strategically just looking back and going, we're working with this team of the cloud provider and they're incentivized here. But the reality is the account reps that run the banks are competing with them internal in the same cloud provider, and they're fighting each other. And we don't care about these guys. We care about the account guys because they'll sell us.
Incentivize them more,
And so just understanding that dynamics, it took me 7 years to be the wake up call and go, oh, what? What just happened? Oh, I get it now. And so just focusing on that is definitely the most critical thing.
Yeah. Gary, this is perfect. This is a very big strategic bet. You saw the world entirely differently 8 years ago. That the way that code was being written was entirely wrong. We were learning a language unnecessarily to some degree.
Yes.
And I think the world has finally caught up, although there's still a long way for the world to go to see it fully as you're seeing it. And I'm sure you're making some new strategic bets that are ahead of the game again.
We have an AI play coming out in September. We showcased it at our conference last month, and it is actually. Wait, we want to do Charlie. If you want to do something bold, and which I know you are,
yes,
describe an application for me. We're going to text an application, which means build a what?
Okay, I want to build a predictor for how my pipeline is looking. So I want to run an application that tells me how my sales pipeline is looking and predicts where it's going to go.
Okay, build me a CRM application with pipeline deal structures and predictability about deal indicators of how successful each deal will be. Include a question on what favorite dessert does the client like as a choice of the top 5, and what sports do they like based on the country they're in also as a top 5. And so I'm just texting.
Yes.
This has never been done before in video, by the way. This is one of those which, like live podcasts, we have an agent in Unqork, so fully agentic on the background, understanding what this need is, what the mean is, and it's done.
Okay,
so at this point,
you've text a human language description of the app you want, and it's gone and actually created an app.
What's your favorite dessert? It's a drop down: chocolate ice cream pies. What country are you in? What's your favorite sport by country?
Yes.
Excellent. You have your CRM deal value, deal stage. Is it prospecting, qualifications?
Remarkable.
So to us, that app I'm showing you, SOC 2, Type 2, Privacy Shield, GDPR compliant, Privacy 2020, HIPAA compliant, ISO compliant, WORM compliant, FedRAMP moderate. So this could be used by any agent, the agencies in the federal government. It's probably been ethically hacked 100 times this year. And you can't violate that. Now, if you ask any other AI out there to do the same thing, it's going to replicate HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Java, .NET, COBOL, Assembler. And that code is insecure, non-compliant, and replicated. So you will support it.
At that speed, super easy to hack.
Super easy to hack. That's it. Cool.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for that, Gary. That was a lot of fun. You've had a remarkable success over the last, I guess your entire career, but certainly the last 8 years. So
thank you, Charlie.
Good luck with the next 8 years.
Awesome. Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks Gary.